My name is Kandace Kramer. I go by Kala now, and I will be presenting my data on faking orgasms today. So, although orgasms represent just one facet of sexual health, the ability to consistently achieve orgasm has been robustly linked to both sexual and relationship satisfaction. Given the importance that individuals commonly place on achieving orgasm, the pressure to orgasm can be very strong during sexual encounters, as it is seen as the climax in multiple ways of the activity and therefore invokes specific sexual scripts for couples. So, although both men and women can experience benefits linked to orgasms, there appears to be a gender disproportion in the frequency, consistency, and even the ability to experience orgasms. In a massive study of newlyweds, 38% more men had consistent orgasms than women did, and only 57% of men knew when their wife had an orgasm. So you can see that it's a very large gender gap here. The literature also shows us that about 3 times more women fake orgasms than men in their lifetime. So in our study, we aim to figure out the how, why, and when of faking orgasms. Using all of the data, we identified the fundamental types of faking. So we wanted to explore differences across types by examining consequences, demographics, background factors, and relationship quality. So we recruited sexually experienced adults to take our online survey via MTurk, and we called it the Expressions of Pleasure in Sex Study. And we assessed from there the how, when, and why of faking orgasm and exaggerating pleasure. So we recruited 1,765 people who were generally in their 20s and 30s, but the age range was 18 to 80 years old. And out of those, 1,752 were sexually active, and 1,435 have faked an orgasm at least once in their lifetime. So our results showed that more women exaggerated their pleasure and faked than men, we used latent profile analysis to determine the fundamental types of faking. So the results identified 4 main classes of fakers. As you can see, the groups differed in how much exaggerating and faking they were doing. And in the graph, you can see that lifetime exaggerating seems to be higher than lifetime faking. So the 4 main classes were low fakers, moderate exaggerators, moderate fakers, and high fakers. So what's shown here is that moderate fakers usually fake by telling their partner they orgasmed, also exhibiting extra body movements and making extra sounds. So reasons for faking or exaggerating. The 2 most popular reasons for faking were to protect their partner and because their partner was about to orgasm themselves. So high fakers mostly fake to protect their partner's feelings as well, but however, they are the least worried that their partner might leave them. Moderate fakers are more likely to have more of these reasons. So the biggest consequence of faking and exaggerating for all groups was convincing their partner that they orgasmed and having a positive impact on their partner. Moderate fakers felt the most frustrated, yet they also felt that faking enhanced their own experience. So that was a very interesting finding to see those contradicting. So in terms summary, so far we found there are 3 normative groups: no faking, which was 19% of the sample, low faking, which is 24%, and moderate exaggeration, 33%. There were also 2 more extreme groups, the moderate fakers and the high fakers. So out of those 2, 7% were the moderate fakers that had concerning reasons for faking, such as manipulation and things like that. And high fakers had 16% with concerning levels. So the highest percentage of men were in the moderate faking group and the no faking group. So there's a contrast there. That they either did not fake or the majority moderately faked. Another interesting finding is that the people who did not fake orgasms were much older than the moderate exaggerating group. And the low fakers and moderate fakers were at a similar age. So very interesting to find that older people tended to not fake. So white participants were mostly in the low faking and high faking group. So sexual background factors. Overall, all groups had high sex positivity, but moderate fakers had the highest sex negativity, and the high fakers had the lowest orgasmic consistency. And this makes sense because if you're faking the orgasm, it's not actually happening. So regarding attachment and attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance, the moderate fakers had the most attachment anxiety and avoidance. So they had both of these attachment issues. So regarding the differences on relationship quality, moderate fakers had the highest perceived risk of their partner cheating and partner's insensitivity. There was a study that we found in the literature that found that there's a percentage of women who often faked to retain their mate. So it's very interesting to see how the perceived risk of their partner cheating affects them and how they express their pleasure. So with loneliness, moderate fakers experience the highest rate of loneliness. So in conclusion, we found that 4 types of faking differed on sexual, relationship, and individual health. There were 3 fairly adaptive groups and 2 maladaptive groups. So in the future, it would be interesting to look at outcomes over time and to see if it matters at all for the relationship, how convincing the faking is. So like our limit here was that our study was cross-sectional, and so it would be beneficial to conduct a study that's longitudinal, and so we can see progress over time. Also, we collected individual data since not all of our participants were in relationships, and so we had one person's point of view for their experiences. So for another study in the future, it would be great to collect dyadic data, so we have both perspectives of the sexual experiences, and that would be very helpful and provide a broader view of relationships. So thank you.